It's not quite ready yet. Good day, everybody. I'm Passion Coach Robin, aka the Laughing Crone. Who else? And I'm here to share with you the 5 secrets to greater happiness and success at work. And of course, have some fun along the way. So, today we're going to focus on the benefits of happiness in the workplace and in life, of course. So, do you consider yourself to be a happy person? If you can, put a comment in under whatever platform you're on, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or let's see, YouTube. YouTube's the other one. Put a comment in if you're happy, or if you find yourself laying awake at night worrying about the day's events or what to anticipate tomorrow. How about looking forward to work? Do you dread it, or do you really enjoy work? Or is it somewhere in between the two, maybe a little bit complacent? Would you love to feel great every day and grateful every day, regardless of what you face on a daily basis? It may seem intuitive that happiness is a good thing, but I'd also like to share some facts that support why it's a good thing so that you can actually begin a process dedicated to up-leveling your mindset to feel good every single day. The benefits include not only physical changes that can surpass the benefits of exercise even. Yeah, that is a scientific given, but it also makes changes in the brain for the better, of course, for the better. And I'll be sharing specifics as we go along today. So there's 5 basic steps to accomplishing that state of daily joy. And I call it my SMILE framework. So if you could use a little more happiness, or maybe a lot more, drop an amen in the comments on whatever platform you're watching from. And thank you so very much for being there. I appreciate it. So let's look at what's coming up the rest of the week. Hmm. Wow, we have a really great layout. Tomorrow, you're going to enjoy the easy manner in which Coach Lori Wagaspack-Hill shares her 4 steps to transparent dialogue. If you've ever left a conversation at work or in your personal life confused, perplexed, even angry, and not knowing how to navigate the aftershock, Coach Lori's your gal. She has decades of experience as a speech pathologist. And what absolutely stuns me on a personal level are the gems and the little nuggets of gold that she just casually drops in her conversations every time I talk with her. So listen carefully tomorrow and take really good notes. You'll use what you learn every day from now on. I even noticed this morning I have her list of 4 steps here on the side of my computer, and I refer to them all the time. Excuse me. So if you've ever needed an ear to help you navigate a difficult and important conversation, put a yes in the comments. And I love what you say. It feels hard to be all that happy. Boy, I get you. I get you. Thank you for that comment. We're going to come back to that. And I hope that by the end of this presentation, Chunky, that we can flip a switch for you. I'd be interested to know. So Wednesday, we move on to a real treat and a real great energy boost for hump day. Yeah. That Wednesday when we're in the middle of the week and we're just getting up to speed and we're already on the down. Heather Hutchings is going to join us from New Zealand to give us her secrets to sustained energy throughout the workday and in our personal lives too. She's rightly called the energy architect. I love that. I love that. Energy architect. And when you see her, you're going to feel and see the energy that she just exudes. So, if you've ever felt a daily slump in energy after lunch, that's common. Or if we're like being honest, maybe you've experienced days, and Chunky, maybe you can relate to this when it's just plain hard to get out of bed. I've been there, honestly, I have. Without taking anything like drinking super caffeinated, I won't use the brand name, but you all know what I'm talking about. If you are tired of that feeling of just dragging, put an "I'm ready" in the comments. I'm ready. Then Thursday, we start the slide into home plate with Dr. Relly Nadler, who's a recognized expert in emotional intelligence. He's written for Psychology Today, he's written a book, he's worked with Fortune 500 companies, he's even worked with the US military. And when I spoke with him last night, he was working with national physicians, teaching them some of his proprietary tools to grow and apply emotional intelligence, to launch ourselves and our teams into new levels of success. So, who here is ready to get yourself and your teams off autopilot, leave behind being just average, and excel with your emotional intelligence? And Dr. Nadler claims that he can teach you how to do this in just 15 seconds so that at any point in your day, you can take a breath and be present and emotionally intelligent. Drop a yes, sir, in the comments if you want a little bit more of that. Then Friday, we finish strong, of course, with Clifton Strengths. Coach Rosie Norell. She's been working with individuals in corporate settings to develop and manage talent for over a decade. And she uses Gallup's Clifton Strengths analysis. And I can tell you from personal experience, the ahas that you get are truly life changing. It's your own personalized strength DNA. If you pre-registered for this event, you would have gotten a link to go and take the test. And I highly, highly recommend it, because the fact is that you are unique. You are powerful, and you can be confident within yourself as to who you are and feel really good about it. And that's what this week is about. So if you're truly excited to grow to greater performance and success, put an "I'm ready" in the comments. I'm sorry. I need my tea. It's not coffee, it's tea. Okay, let's get started. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about myself and where I'm coming from. I discovered a while ago that my true passion is helping people find their joy. And I discovered this after I found my own happiness the hard way. I experienced a pretty rough path, both early in my career and through my life. I survived simply due to my stubborn insistence to survive. I'm a Taurus, of course. So, although looking back at my career, I was a part of a really exciting time in Silicon Valley. It was back in the 1980s, and yes, I'm that big a dinosaur. I was working together with some of the technology greats that you would recognize and in companies that you would recognize. But it was also a really difficult time for me. I experienced severe, you don't even know, gender discrimination, harassment, and stalking at both my work and in my personal life. It was never taken seriously at work. And yet it caused me great pain, humiliation, emotionally and physically. And then to make things worse, I survived an abusive marriage. But the three blessings came into my life, my children, and I raised them completely alone from babyhood up to grown adults, financially, emotionally, and physically by myself. And through all of that, I knew I had a purpose. I knew I had a purpose beyond my circumstances. So I simply kept giving the best that I had. I worked with differently abled people, helping them find security at work. I developed at risk programs for youth, and I created an event called Run, Walk, and Roll while working as an executive director for a rehabilitation hospital. And then later, I coached entrepreneurs, students, and those who were looking for seed money as social entrepreneurs, for profit companies, and B Corps who had missions to better their communities and the world. And I got involved with impact investing in its early stages. Have any of you heard of investing? It's really an interesting way to support great causes without being a nonprofit, being a sustainable for profit. But I digress a bit. So along the way, I also studied because I wasn't always happy. I wasn't always the laughing crone. I studied with spiritual teachers. I studied and learned yoga as a student of Yogi Bhajan. I learned to meditate. I studied continuously with books and teachers to grow my resiliency and deepen my understanding of ancient spirituality. And finally, when my children had grown into adults and left home, I chose to travel. And I went to Ecuador alone and spent a few months there. And it was there that I found something I wasn't expecting. I thought I was going there to move. And what I found instead was something much deeper. I found adventure. I found a part of me that I'd either forgotten or never known. I'm not sure which, but I really discovered the fun in life. I started laughing every day. I ended up, when I came home, taking all the tough lessons that I'd learned through my life, and I grew my forgiveness, and I grew the wisdom that I had accumulated over years. And I integrated it, and I'm sorry, I get a little bit emotional occasionally. I integrated it all with the fun side of life, with the awe for the beauty of nature, for the beauty of life, for the fun of the adventure, and to become what I now call myself the laughing crone. And there's a whole story behind that, and I won't digress to that right now, not today. I also developed a framework so that others don't need to experience the lengthy roller coaster of life that I did. I teach a technique called SMILE. And today we're going to quickly review it. Are you ready and curious about that? Isn't feeling good about yourself, plus what you do at work and in life, key to truly being successful? Ahmed, thank you for joining us. Chunky, again, I really appreciate your participation. And yeah, if you're not familiar with impact investing, we can talk also later. So, am I right? Is it time to start feeling better about your life? And if so, put a yes in the chat. If you're ready to shed the stress, accelerate your leadership, be noticed positively at work, and enjoy every day as a leader at work and in your life, being happy, being energized, feeling vital, and yes, giving to your team, whether it's your family or your colleagues, and seeing them happy and productive at work while you get the support and positive feedback that you deserve from your boss. Yes. So, before we really get started, and because for many of us it's either the end of the day or it's earlier in the day, or maybe it's midday for you, it doesn't matter. We all need to wake up a little bit. I know I do. So, let's all take a minute and just stretch. Okay? Put your arms out wherever you are and reach around, twist your spine. It's really important to get that spine flexibility, expand your chest, and remember, everybody, when you're doing this, to smile. I love this silly ostrich. It makes me smile every time. Arms out again. Move and stretch and wake up and start releasing those endorphins that smiling helps. Okay. And especially when we work at the computer, we tend to slouch because we're typing or we're leaning forward to read it or whatever it is. We need to consciously remember to open that chest up, to twist the spine, to release those energy juices up and down our spine and relax and breathe. And if you can, not now, I want you to stay here. But when you're at work and you're feeling fatigued, take a brain break. Stand up, either move around, put on some music, or go outside, even better, and walk around. And we're going to share some exercises for that too. So, remembering to smile is really important because it contributes to those physical benefits, those endorphins. Okay, it's time to get started on my SMILE framework. It's an acronym for the 5 steps to help you remember what those 5 steps are. And if you are ready to learn to leave the frustration behind, to feeling irrelevant and inconsequential and just put an end to it, maybe you're frustrated by the process of aging. I've been there, facing retirement or feeling left behind, whether you're at work, at home, or in the community. And if you're at a loss for how to acquire that renewed zest for life, you're in the right place. Maybe you need to feel better about your work too. And you definitely need to feel of purpose, of consequence, of importance in your own right. You're in the right place today. So we are going to start on S of of the word smile. S is for silence. It's important. It's important to practice silence in the beginning of the day and throughout the day at various points in time. So, what you may say, isn't a manager or a team leader supposed to instruct, give tasks, feedback, all this stuff that requires verbalization? Well, yeah. But a crucial part of all of that is learning to listen. So, what I want you to do is get in the habit, first thing every morning, of taking, even if you can do it longer, great. But if you want to just start with 5 minutes, find 5 minutes when you first wake up and get into the habit of silence. Now, some of you are going to be saying, my alarm goes off, my partner starts yapping at me, I've got to get up with the kids, I've got to go fix the breakfast, take him to school, blah, 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 blah. How can I find 5 minutes of freaking silence? Well, I'm sorry. Get up a little earlier before all of that starts happening. Even if it's 5 minutes before everybody else is waking up, get in the habit, and habits are important. Get in the habit to wake up. And if you don't want to, wrestle your partner, then just learn to lay there in silence while you're awake, even a little bit groggy. That's great because your body and your brain are still in that beta brain wavelength. It's really not beta, I'm sorry, alpha. When you start waking up to take advantage of those alpha brain waves, okay? So you stay in silence and learn to scan your body. So you're laying there, you've woken up, but your eyes are closed. And I want you to scan your body for areas of resistance, pain, blockages. In fact, close your eyes right now. Close your eyes and scan your body as you breathe. Be conscious of your breathing and scan your body for areas of resistance. Start at the head, move down the neck, out through the shoulders, down through the arms to the hands, back up through the chest, the heart, your solar plexus and torso, your groin, down through your legs and knees to your feet and toes. And then take a deep breath and pull that all back up from the toes all the way back up to the top of your head. And through that process, if you noticed anything that is hurting, I have a sore shoulder, anything that's blocking you, you're feeling resistance, ask yourself, why do I hurt? What is it that block? What is that tight spot that I feel? What is it that I'm resisting? And I'm not asking you for an answer right now, but I'm asking you to become aware during that silence of what you're feeling. And if a lot of this is new to you, you can get resources on YouTube. In fact, if you want guided meditations, there's some great ones on YouTube. And I found that if you're familiar with who Joe Dispenza is, he's a brain scientist and he's also a meditator, and he's a great resource. And there are so many others, and I'm not going to give them all to you now, but I encourage you to learn how to go into that morning silence. It's to become completely in the present. That's what silence is about, is learning to be in the now. And if you're not familiar with or you haven't read the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, I highly recommend it. It's a beautiful book, and it shares how important learning to just be present and being silent helps you get there. It also facilitates listening to your team without judgment. So when you're in the presence, I want to ask you a question. How do you feel when you're heard? When somebody really hears you, really gets you, how do you feel? Do you feel relieved? Do you feel happy? Do you feel validated? Put a word in the comments as to how you feel. And then I want you to think about a story that I'm going to tell you that's actually from the Buddha, and it's called his flower sermon. And the story goes like this. The Buddha, and you can gaze on this flower as I'm telling this story. The Buddha held out a flower to one of his students and just simply held the flower there in silence, didn't say a word. And the student knew to hold that silence and to simply gaze upon the flower. And I'd love it if you'd do the same with soft eyes. Ultimately, the Buddhist student smiled. And it was at that moment that the Buddha knew that his student was worthy of moving forward. He understood the connection with silence. You can practice this yourself by simply walking outside, finding a flower or something, an ant, a blade of grass coming up through the concrete, anything of nature, and quietly gaze at it while you're breathing slowly and deeply, just as we did earlier. It's a method to truly connect with nature energetically and not just walk by it unconscious of that tiny little daisy that's pushing up through the concrete. That's what is called the transcendental side of silence. And Henry David Thoreau wrote about it in his book on Walden Pond, which is another beautiful book to read. It's using nature and silence together to learn to connect in that moment, that now, that Eckhart Tolle talks about. So when you work with me, I give you a lot of different exercises like this and more. And I provide you um, means to learn at a deeper level about how to become present. And becoming present is really important at work. And I'm going to share a few of the benefits with you now. When you learn how to go into that deep silence within, you can use it to examine objectively how you are feeling given at any given moment in time. And you can learn objectively what you've been thinking. Emphasize on been. Okay. So, meaning when you understand your thinking from the past, what you've been thinking, you can make conscious decisions as to how you move forward. The past can actually cloud your emotional intelligence at work and in life. And again, Relly's going to be diving into this with you on Thursday. But when you can identify what you feel in any given moment and observe it and see how it impacts your thinking, that's truly gold. And Lori's going to help you with that tomorrow. And when you understand what's going on for you, you have the power to choose your response, your next step, your intent with your team. And you can extend that power to your team by entering what I'm going to call a silence container when they need your attention, or even before you enter a meeting, for example. I want you to take a deep breath, consciously relax, and remain silent and focused on the moment anytime that you're going into a meeting, whether it's a Zoom meeting or whether it's a physical conference room that you're walking into. And by being in silence and being present in all definitions of that word, you can extend your power to listen to them objectively. When you're in that space of expansiveness, you know what? They feel it too. They feel the openness, the ability to share. And what more could you ask from your team than them sharing what's truly going on at a work level on any given day? You're creating a safe container for them to speak while you simply listen and observe. And then your ability to support them increases. And guess what? When you hold that open space, when you go in to talk to your boss, instead of you talking, you listen. He's or she is going to hear it too. She or he is going to sense that openness, that balance that comes from you. And that's what is powerful at work. Silence truly is golden in all aspects. When you learn its power to transform not just you, but your whole surroundings. When you master silence, and you're able to listen objectively and safely, you'll be amazed at how much more information you're able to recognize and digest. You'll have more info to make decisions because people have opened up and they've told you the truth. It will transform your relationships into those of trust, of support, and balance. Growth is an inner game that changes your relationships, your understanding, your whole life, and most importantly, yes, your zest for life. So it's the inner game that changes everything. It's not trying to change everyone else. It's working with yourself. It takes time. It takes guidance from someone who knows and who has the tools to help you. And it takes your patience and tenacity to grow, especially if you don't want to take a lifetime like I did. So let's look at the daily benefits of silence. The benefits for you personally to practice daily silence include improved focus, reduced anxiety, a greater sense of peace. And over time, all those beneficial changes actually occur in our brain. Yeah, neuroplasticity. Our brain changes, and its changes are associated with relaxation, heightened awareness. And there's so many studies validating both physical and emotional benefits that include blood pressure improvements, overall physical health. Many of you could actually use a little bit of extra of that. Pop a yes in the chat. Pop a yes. And then we're going to move on to the M in smile. M is for mindfulness. So, what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is learning to come from that quiet place that we've been talking about to observe. Okay, so we've been in silence, we've been inward. Now we're going to use mindfulness to observe what's in front of us, what's in the moment, coming from others, but also integrating your own thoughts and emotions, coming from nature, coming from the moment that you are existing in. So, again, referring back to Eckhart Tolle and the power of now. When you are in the now, you are able to choose your response rather than reacting. I love the word responsibility. When you take certain positions at work, the word responsibility is tossed. What does it mean? When you break it into pieces, it actually means that you're able to respond appropriately. And if that's not using silence and mindfulness, I don't know what is. It allows you to choose. Also, mindfulness allows you to choose what you allow to penetrate your own stillness. So, those emotional arrows that get flung at us, whether it's by a colleague, whether it's by a family member, whether it's by your boss, you can choose whether or not you're going to allow that arrow in the first place. When you are mindful and silent and observant and working in the present, you can see that the arrow was flung by somebody for their own reasons, for their own fears, for their own lack of stillness, for their own lack of mindfulness. They are reacting. You don't have to let that arrow in. When you are mindful, when you are working from the moment, the now, you can deflect it. You can stay present and see a bit deeper into that other person beyond the insult, which is just said, it's just a reaction of their own fear or something within them. You gain insight inside, another beautiful word. You can practice mindfulness with the nature walk I described before. And of course, there's a lot of other exercises and steps that I can share with my students according to where they are. This is a very, very highly personalized process. And it depends on where you are with regards to your inner understanding, your congruence, another great word, within and outside of you. And congruous and authenticity are just about one and the same. When what you are inside and how you are projecting outside is congruent, you are being authentic. And when you are authentic, that connection with others is real too. They pick it up, they can feel it. It's an energy exchange. So let's look at how all of that connects with work. When you learn to observe objectively from that center of power within your torso, which I think I mentioned before, that your power center really is in your solar plexus, right below your lungs. And when you are focused in that area, which, by the way, has the color of yellow, if you go back into ancient Sanskrit and the chakra system, when you are operating from that solar plexus, that chakra of yellow, you can slow things down. You can choose your response. You can establish alignment and partnership with your team and with your boss. And you achieve congruence that we just finished talking about with the objectives of the company, with the objectives of your boss. So, what are the benefits for you today? Of course, enhanced emotional regulation, better decision making, a deeper appreciation for the present moment. And in the brain, there are studies showing, again, greater neuroplasticity, the ability to regulate emotions and be more resilient. So let's move on to the I in smile. I is for intent. This is where we dig deep. Intent is a lot of deep work because we are looking for our motivation, why we're here. So, a lot of people use the word to find your why, and it reaches into our souls to find that purpose. And when you know why, you are pursuing what you're focused on achieving. Outside of money and recognition, it's an important motivator for those times when you're discouraged. All of us want to be remembered, right? When we've passed, when we've gone to that beyond whatever you believe that may be, I think all of us at some level want to be remembered. I know I do. So whether it's for our accomplishments or as a memorable person, that's what's important to establish for yourself while you are still alive in the moment now. Now, regardless of what your belief systems are, whether you believe in God or no God or a universal power, whatever it is that you refer to, listen to this famous quote from Marianne Williamson. It's from her book, A Return to Love. And set aside religion for a moment and just listen to what she says. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us, that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Wow. Did you hear what she said? Put something in the comments. Put a word in the comments that you are taking away from listening to that. The greatest gift that you can give to others, whether they are those that you love, those that you lead, friends, work colleagues, even people you need to forgive. That gift is to grow into your own potential, your own purpose for being, so that you can help them achieve the same for themselves. That's our legacy. So, finding your deepest yearning, your most core why, serves several purposes. When you are in touch and know what you want, what you desire, what you intend at work and in life, it not only generates clarity for you, your clarity is easier for others to tap into to support you. Your team needs it. Goals become more clear to everyone, and your boss notices that the requirements for achievement are being handled. So they feel good too. And how about the overall benefits for you? When you are tempted to quit, reminding yourself of your why, your intent, helps motivate you to keep you going. There's greater clarity for achievement. Knowing your why, your intent, helps you identify the actions you need to take to fulfill that why, whether it's at work, at home, your community, even internationally. Finding your intent, finding your why, supports your journey up that pyramid of self fulfillment, that hierarchy of needs that Maslow talks about. Self actualization. And that's what Marianne Williamson's talking about. Self actualization encourages others to do the same. When you know your why, your experience of increased resilience, when you do hit obstacles, because we do, none of this is going to change life. Life happens. It's how we prepare for life that makes the difference. When you hit obstacles and you get through them, the brain rewards you. It's a system for achievement. Dopamine is released, and dopamine plays a role in controlling memory, mood, sleep, learning, concentration, movement, and other body functions. It's an extremely it's an extremely important product for our bodies to absorb and to use. So again, when I'm working with you, we spend a lot of time and several exercises to help you identify your intent and how to embrace that why, how to figure out what your true yearning is. I give you tools to help you in supporting your team because guess what? Your team is an important part of this whole process. They need to understand not only your why, they need to understand their own intent. So there's an ecosystem that comes into play here, especially at work. And that's where I work with you and support you. So stay through to the end of the class and you'll get an opportunity to find out more about how to work with me. And that includes a free hour with me. The work of intent is really a personal journey and it requires support. So I've gotten pretty serious. Let's wake up again, okay? Let's expand our chests. Let's reach out. Please do this with me wherever you're sitting, whenever you're listening to this. Move around and reach around. Smile and give yourself a big hug. Because now we're going to move on to a very important, well, they're all important. Another one, the L in smile is let go. What the heck does let go mean? Well, we can all imagine what it means, letting go. And right now, what it means is to forgive. To forgive. It's a powerful process, learning to forgive. And it's actually where I've spent hours teaching. There's videos on YouTube, if you go to my channel or if you're there, that you can look at that talk specifically to the entire topic of forgiveness. And there's so many exercises that I can share with you to help you let go of things, to help you forgive that have bothered you, that you've carried around on your back like a bag of potatoes. And who's hurt by that? Only you. You've heard that before, I'm sure. Forgiving yourself can be the hardest thing on earth to accomplish. And much of the time, we focus our energy on forgiving others. It starts with yourself. It starts with finding forgiveness for yourself. We tend to blame. We tend to put the problem on another person. And then we think we need to forgive that other person. But if you go back in the SMILE acronym and you think about the mindfulness that I mentioned, it really is more important to deflect the arrows, to not let them penetrate, and to learn to forgive yourself and recognize what the other person is going through. It makes the whole process of forgiveness for others simple. For self, it's a little harder because it deals with our own defenses, our own expectations, and guess what? Our own self-sabotage. Yes. The Buddha has a beautiful saying. Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at somebody else. But guess who gets burned from the hot coal? The Dalai Lama speaks of sacred friends who are the most difficult people to forgive. They're the friends that drive you crazy. And yet they're the ones that bring the greatest insights and the greatest potential for your own growth. I suggest adding forgiveness to your daily routine of silence by asking within yourself in that 5 minutes of silence, okay? We've scanned our body to see where our blocks, our pains are. And now we're going to say, who should I forgive today? Who am I to forgive today? And if it's yourself, ask why. Why? What is it I need to forgive? Remember that what you wish for others, you wish for yourself. What you wish for others, you wish for yourself. Everyone has a backstory that fuels their fears, their insecurities, their failures. We react to protect ourselves from these perceived dangers. Mindfulness, remember, deflects those arrows before they penetrate, and the combination of your reaction and theirs when it's not forgiven is lethal. When it's pushed down, when it's carried around like that sack of potatoes, it's powerfully bad for everybody. So, what is the work application for the let go? You're going to get back to that word responsibility, remembering how to respond with advanced thought and care. Mindfulness, response ability, our ability to choose how we respond. When we respond instead of react, we avoid engagement and we avoid that flare of anger and resentment. And that's crucial when you're working with teams. One poor reaction can spread like wildfire. So, forgiveness of yourself and others and utilizing that resolution process that we get taught, okay, in when you work with me, positive communication together act as a fire extinguisher. So you forgive yourself, you learn resolution processes and positive communication, and you extinguish any kind of flames. And of course, with your manager, understanding and listening is core throughout all of this. So forgiveness is a decision. You know when you've truly forgiven because you'll feel at peace. And so will your team, believe me. When you are at peace, so is your team. So the benefits for you personally are endless. Here's a few: improved relationships, reduced stress, lower blood pressure, improved immune system, enhanced overall well being. And again, the brain changes. Guess what? There's been studies that examine the brain during the process of forgiveness, and it highlights regions of your brain that are involved with empathy, understanding someone else, compassion, emotional regulation. Practicing forgiveness leads to changes in the structure of your brain and its function over time, for the better, by the way. But of course, for the better. So put a yes, please put a yes in the comments if you could do with a little more forgiveness. And thank you, Ahmed, for your comment. It is hard. It is very hard to learn to forgive others that have caused you pain. I can relate to that. I lived with an abusive man who hurt me again and again. And it's hard. It's taken me many years. But I started with forgiving myself, with recognizing that whatever that other person is going through is theirs. It's not yours. It's not the arrow that you need to let in. Yeah. Thank you for listening, Ahmed. I appreciate that. So, what is the final E of smile? This is the best one. Believe me, this is the best one. It's express. Express. And what does that mean? It means being unapologetically happy and celebrating. That's what expressing means. When you're expressive, you're happy, you're celebrating. And when you celebrate, it spreads in a good kind of wildfire. So let me tell you a story. It's kind of a fun story about a professor who had a large class of students, and he handed balloons out to all of the different students. And he told the students to write their name on the balloon and then blow up the balloon. And then they were all to take the balloon and put it in a separate room, a different room. So when all the students had accomplished that, the professor walked in the other room and he mixed up all the balloons so nobody would know where their balloon was. And he came back into the classroom and he said, "Okay, you have 5 minutes to go find your balloon." Well, everybody left, and in 5 minutes, nobody had found their balloon. So then he brought them back into the classroom and he said, "Okay, I'm going to go in there. I'm going to mix the balloons up again. But this time, when you go in there, all I want you to do is pick up any balloon and find the person that it belongs to and give it to them." And you know what? Within 5 minutes, they were all back in the classroom and everybody had their own balloon. So, what the heck does that mean? Well, I look at it as sharing the love, okay? Paying it forward. There was a movement a few decades ago, I guess, that even had a movie about paying it forward. So, when we celebrate, when we express our joy, it can't help but be contagion, just like passing those balloons. And you can have that impact for your team. When you celebrate wins together with your team, passing the balloon to each one of them, giving them a chance to be expressive, to feel that celebration, they go home feeling good and they continue to pass that balloon. It gets passed to family. It gets passed to the people they pass on the sidewalks. It maybe just going through the building, the business building, or even if you work online and you're going to the grocery store, when you have felt that expressiveness, that celebration, you feel good. The dopamine is going nuts. The endorphins are racing around, and it's contagious. And what could be better? What could possibly be better than that for the whole company? Talk about it, social responsibility for companies. When you've got employees running around in the celebrating, and I'm a little bit expressive, but anyway, it's contagious to the effect that the company gets a good reputation. People are talking positively about their work. People are talking positively about, "Isn't this a great company? I feel so good going into work." And I know it all sounds like a dream, but it is achievable. And the fact of the matter is that people who are happy make more money. I've said that numerous times in social posts, and it's true. But more than that, people who are making more money, their employ and are happy, their employers are making more money. And I think it has to do with this concept of passing the balloon, social responsibility. That when companies get good reputations in the community, people like to buy from them. Look at Patagonia, which happens to be a B corporation. Ben and Jerry's ice cream. Okay, yeah, they've got great product, but they also make people happy by eating their ice cream. And Ben and Jerry's is a B Corp, by the way. Anyway, the hope is that by being happy and by regularly celebrating it, and you might even pick up the practice with your team of a Friday celebration of what wins individuals had during the week, what wins we had together as a team. That can really lift morale and it can lift the whole view of the company. So I'm gonna share this slide. I don't think I did. I get so carried away I forget where I am with the slides. So while you look at this, you celebrate the wins together and you share them. I want to talk about a quote by Maya Angelou that I think is really important to share. "People will forget what you said, People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's our true legacy in life. By expressing your happiness, by celebrating, we also set in motion our legacy, how people remember us. How do you want to be remembered? If you're willing, put it in the comments. How do you want to be remembered? I want to be remembered for spreading joy to other people. So, celebration also, let's look at what it does for you. It cements our progress. When we celebrate, it feels good, and that dopamine rush of joy is remembered by our bodies. The brain likes it and asks to feel it again and again and again. And so it becomes habit to be happy. I think that's what happened to me. It's a habit to be happy. And happiness increases our resilience. We cope better, our relationships improve, and everybody's happier. So remember to smile. I'm gonna push this forward one more time. Remember to smile every day. And I even have a little happiness drawer, I call it, on social media, where when I'm feeling down, I pull out that drawer on YouTube or on Instagram or wherever it is, and I have certain posts that I've saved that make me laugh, that make me smile. So there's little practices like that that are easy to do. We're already on all over social media every day. We're addicted. Why not make it a happy addiction? So be sure to join us tomorrow to learn the steps of transparent dialogue and getting others to listen to you. You're going to love Coach Lori. She's really great, and she absolutely ties into everything that we've been talking about today. And tonight, the challenge is to think about your why, your intent. You're going to get an email if you registered. If you haven't registered, I need you to go to this link now and never go to this link at the top and register now. Because when you register, you'll start getting those emails that after each one of these presentations, you're going to get some homework. And my homework tonight, my challenge for you tonight is to think about your intent, the I in smile. Think about your why. Ask yourself, why are you doing what you are doing? If you can't answer that, ask yourself, why do you want? What do you want? Why do you want what you want? I'm sorry. Ask that same question to yourself at least 10 times. And each time, I want you to also write down the answer. Write it down. The intent for you is to get to your deeper why. So let me give you an example. Why do I want to be happier? Well, I want to be happier because it makes me feel good. Well, why do you want to feel good? Well, I want to feel good because I want people to remember me as somebody who made them feel good. Well, why do you want to make them feel good? So you get the idea. And I'm going to guarantee you, you are going to hit a place where you go, well, I don't know. That's the place that you really need to dig deeper and keep asking because the why often becomes very emotional. And you can even get back into childhood, believe it or not. So tonight, figure out your intent. Ask yourself those questions. Do it where you're not going to be interrupted. And watch for that email when you've registered so that you can keep on track with all of us with homework for the week's challenge. Register. If you want to have a free session with me, I need to warn you, I'm traveling all month. So my calendar is going to be difficult at best. So if you simply cannot find a time to connect with me, I'm asking you to please email me. And again, if you register, you'll be getting emails that you can respond to and ask for time. And then there's always my private group on Facebook. If you want to join there, I'm always giving resources and ideas and thoughts and daily posts. And I have a trippy Tuesday and a wacky Wednesday. I guess I call it Wild Wednesday. Anyway, join my private Facebook group, and there's some fun in there for you too. So before I close, I want to ask, do we have any questions? If you have a specific question, please put it in the comments. And thank you for your kind comment, Chunky. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm going to wait a moment to see if there's any questions. Okay. Thank you for coming today, and I hope you've registered, and I hope you'll come back tomorrow and hear Lori. She's fantastic. Thanks again. Bye bye.